Okay, so welcome to GTC Insiders. We're really excited to have a quite brilliant guest today join us, who is Helene from GSMA. So without further ado, Helene, perhaps I can hand over to you to provide a bit of an introduction and background to yourself.
Yes.
And welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Helene Vigue. I look after identity and data at the GSMA, and I came to the GSMA about 10 years ago now, after spending a decade at Orange, where I worked across different roles, across technology and business and digital services. And I guess I came to the GSMA because of the opportunity to facilitate collaboration across industry and on a global scale, and to do this on a topic that I felt mattered. So I joined at the time of Mobile Connect, and I felt like this topic of identity was really important, to increase digital trust and make services more secure and accessible to everyone. So that's been my journey so far. So yeah, that's it. Today I connect and support the ecosystem to solve digital identity issues through mobile identity services. So I guess that's what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. And perhaps just before we get into it, we can talk a little bit about GSMA's role here, because I think the introduction probably doesn't suit the gravitas of kind of GSMA and what you do and who you cover and everything else, because mobile identity is so big to us as GTC, but also you really are enabling it.
Yeah, we say sometimes that the role of the GSMA is to unify the mobile ecosystem for the benefit of people, industry and society. We do very different things, from advocacy and mobile for development and technology. And so what we look after in mobile identity sits very much in the technology area, developing innovation and making the ecosystem work together and striving for interoperability. I guess what GSMA was born off on roaming was that idea of interoperability, and we carry that on other services where it doesn't work if one actor plays on their own. We really need the ecosystem to work together and to collaborate. So that's been the motto really for mobile identity. You asked about who we cover, I guess. Yes, I always assume people know, but of course, we've got mobile operators, but we've also got a broader mobile ecosystem. And I think, again, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, but for mobile identity, this is absolutely key. This is an area where mobile operators can't work on their own, and they need partners to bring full solutions to the enterprises that need them.
Obviously, as I mentioned, mobile identity is important for us, but we find this is actually probably the fastest growing area that we see right now. And we obviously spent time with you to formulate the white paper, and perhaps you could touch upon some of the key findings, some of the interesting points from the white paper, just to kind of entice people in case they haven't seen that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was very timely to put everything in a white paper after a while, to take stock really of where we are, because I think this topic of identity has been there for a while, but the need for digital identity generally is growing. We all hear about the scams and the data breaches on a regular basis, and they're growing faster than even our use of digital tools and enterprises' digital transformation. There's also been a lot of talk recently around age assurance. It's another identity topic, in effect, where regulators are trying to protect people that are minors from harmful content. And all this comes down to not knowing who's behind a screen, whereas obviously that's something that we take for granted in day-to-day life. It's much easier to prove someone's identity. And I think in that context, we've seen mobile identity services really maturing because they build on the potential of the phone and the phone number as the bridge between who I am in the real world, my name, my address, who I really am as a person, a physical person, and my digital identity. And the mobile identity APIs that the operators have been developing, they used to be a bit of a best kept secret, but I think they've been flying under the radar, but they've been there for a little while. But with that fraud prevention demand growing and in financial services and also in other sectors, it has really come to the fore. At the GSMA, we've got an initiative called Open Gateway that's acted as very much of a catalyst to scale the supply of standard network APIs. There's been a lot of launches of such APIs, and we see the case studies multiplying as businesses adopt mobile identity for a number of use cases. That's been very much it's suddenly come to the front, and I think become a much better known topic than it might have been for a while before.
Very good. And you started to, I think, talk about kind of where most businesses start around the challenges. Obviously, protecting minors and understanding how businesses can be aware. Are there any other big challenges that you see right now in this space?
Yeah, I think it's not just protection of minors. It's not just fraud. It often started from fraud and compliance in the financial services sector, but it's also the balance between that and the sort of seamless experience, making sure you keep users along the way and it's as simple as possible, because that's what will make the service accessible to more, will make sure that people don't drop out. So it is a combination between the security and the convenience, which is the typical sort of balance you hear about in identity, and mobile identity fits really neatly because it manages to achieve well on both scores rather than have to choose one versus the other.
And are you seeing kind of people embrace it now? Because obviously you've been with GSMA for close to 10 years, you were saying, and we're certainly seeing the adoption far higher. But in things like Open Gateway, are you seeing kind of real participation from the industry?
Exactly. I think I've said it's been like a catalyst. Like we've got, I think, about 300 APIs that are commercially launched by operators within Open Gateway, so where we track the launch of these sort of standard APIs. They probably have many more legacy and etc. But I think this sort of number starts to make a difference. Most of the major markets now are working together, and within Open Gateway, they could choose to do a range of things, but they're all starting with identity and fraud solutions. So I think that the supply is coming from the mobile industry. There's more and more partners also choosing their positioning in that ecosystem. So I think that's really moved quite quickly. And the adoption as well. This year, we've made a lot of efforts to really track case studies, and we have them now. And it's an area which can be difficult to show what's happening, because we touch on sensitive topics. When it comes to fraud, it's not an issue that businesses will necessarily describe in a lot of detail publicly. But we've got these case studies now showing very clearly how businesses have tackle chargeback fraud or SIM swap fraud, account takeover protection, etc. How they've managed to put that in place with mobile identity.
And I know we certainly speak to a lot of operators, but we also speak to a lot of the service providers who are looking to adopt identity. For those kind of just starting the journey, are there any kind of specific APIs from the 300, obviously, that you mentioned, or specific use cases you would say, look, these are really important right now for them to really kind of focus on?
I think from a customer perspective, obviously, it will depend on the challenge that they're facing. We at different stages of, let's say, the digital identity lifecycle of a user, whether they're onboarding with a service or they're coming back and we need to check it's still them, there's not been an account takeover. There'll be different signals from the mobile network that can help that enterprise customer to tackle their specific challenge. Some of the common ones we've seen used by businesses and launched by mobile operators as a result are around number verification, so sort of next generation authentication beyond SMS one-time passwords. So trying to solve the challenges that come with receiving a code by SMS that, could be shared with a fraudster, but also makes for a bit of a clunky experience, making that completely seamless with number verification. That's been a common one that's been implemented widely and where we see adoption. There's been challenges with fraudulent SIM swaps in places, again, where fraudsters try to take over the SIM of the users. fraudulently, so they can intercept any comms or any SMS that would have gone to the victim. So checking for SIM swap, that's something that's in use very extensively across, especially banking, financial services, for sure, as an indicator of risk for high-risk transactions, for a number of stages, key stages where they need to make sure there's not been an account takeover. And maybe the third one I would mention is around matching the name and address of a person versus the mobile number. So there's an API called KYC Match. That's often used maybe in the onboarding stage. So if someone's registering for my service and the name and address they say they've got doesn't match the mobile number they're giving me, that should raise alarm bells. And although the operators might not have the information for every single user, when they've got it, it's a useful risk indicator that a business can use in the background to decide what they do next in terms of verification. So I say that's a sort of top three. Yeah.
Perfect. So that's exactly what I think our customers will want to hear. And I know you spent a lot of time with Guillaume and Bob from our side in terms of formulating the white paper. I know that's something that they enjoyed. Is there anything that you would say struck you in terms of their knowledge, their focus, etc.? A kind of shameless plug from a GTC perspective, but at the same time,
no, absolutely. It's been quite an unusual collaboration. Yes, we published, I think, the report in June, but we spent quite a few months together on it. It was really extensive, the collaboration, but actually, in that sense, really, really enjoyable. We've really poured a lot of expert knowledge in there, and it was a lot of back and forth. And I really felt like the final product was completely owned by all of us. We could stand by what was said in there, and we'd all learned in the process. I think they shared a lot of their knowledge from what they've learned from working with customers, and they brought a very fresh perspective on things compared to what I might have. Just the sheer difference in who we speak to day, and our position in the industry, we complemented each other really nicely. So same as you said, but it was a very good experience from all sides, and I think we've come up with a good product in terms of this report. Really has this is the state of mobile identity. This is what it is, where it's at. But also these are some case studies. You've got some good case studies there that show the practical positive impact it's making across the world.
Fantastic. And I know those guys loved working with you on that and will continue to do so in the future. Speaking personally, obviously in the UK, we spend a lot of time directly with the MNOs as we do across a lot of the geographies, but spending time with O2 UK, I know they're really focusing on the launch of identity. What would you say to an operator in terms of, we've touched upon some of the use cases that are important right now, but the potential for identity in the future and how important it is?
I think it's a bit of a long game because from what I've seen, operators who are leading in this doing it's opening yourself to a new world. It's not the core business of the operators, and it's about going and understanding challenges in other industries around identity, which is to then find a fit and define your product roadmap. But I think the potential is really big beyond what we've seen so far. As I said, it started in fraud prevention in financial services, but the reality is there are many more areas where the data, the knowledge that an operator has about a user because their activity on mobile can be transferred into a business. It might not be as easy. I think we've got to crack how we do this with the user fully aware that this is happening, this is helping them, but it's been proven elsewhere. And I think, that there's that potential to really be an enabler of identity throughout use cases and not just for fraud prevention.
Very good. And so if anyone hasn't seen the white paper and they're unaware of kind of GSMA's kind of role here, I really would direct you towards kind of the content that's available plus the white paper. But anything else, Helene, you see is kind of topical for our customers to understand? I think we've touched upon the trends now, the trends in the future, some of the challenges, but anything else you think that we've missed that really we should share?
I'm not sure. I think we've covered at the top level. I think there is a lot under the surface when you start to dig. This is a complex topic because you're dealing with people's personal data. You're trying to do this across companies that have to work together. So I think there's a lot more to it. But yeah, at a high level, I think that's it. Is what is the pain point of the customer? What data do I have that could help? And can I get that into their hands? And I probably can't do that directly. I probably need to fit within their solutions. So I think that I'll come back to that. We touched on it at the start, but the idea that you're going to create an API, which is what we focus the industry very much on, is a good start. But that won't solve the enterprise problem by itself. You probably need that API to work within their existing systems. And that means working with partners. So I think the role of partners and how you work with these partners, how you fit within someone's risk engine or someone's identity and access management solution or someone's communications platform, depending on what's the use case that you're trying to address. This is maybe the key point of attention once you've started to develop your solution, is how you get it in the hands of the customer. And there's probably a lot more work yet to do in this area.
Very good, but it's a great starting point from where you spoke about, and kind of your journey in GSMA sounds like it's been kind of bringing the industry together around these APIs. So just like to congratulate you really on your success there. And before we go on to a couple of kind of personal questions in terms of away from the business piece that we always do, perhaps we just touch upon kind of the event that's happening in October, just as a teaser for people, just in case they want to hear the white paper and they're interested in actually learning more.
Sure, or if they haven't time to read it, maybe some people prefer to hear something than read it. That's fair enough. So yes, we are putting together a webinar on the 7th of October where we'll present sort of parts of the white paper. We've invited some of the people actually behind the various case studies that we've got in the paper. So I think it'd be really very insightful. A lot of the time our discussions on mobile identity happen behind closed doors with our members or in very specialist events. This is on LinkedIn for anyone to see. So we hope that we get new audiences, and everyone's very welcome to join us then.
Very good. So if you want to see more, obviously join that session. So as promised, it'd be wrong. It feels like we're just at the end of summer not to talk about the summer holidays, Helene. So perhaps if you could share kind of where you went or kind of some of the highlights of the summer.
Some of the highlights of the summer was my daughter on the 3rd or 4th castle in North Wales saying, "I hate turrets, I hate castles, and most of all, I hate you." I think we had exhausted her little 7-year-old legs, and she was done. But yeah, so joking aside, I spent some lovely time in the UK and in France, and it's been lovely. A lot sunnier than what I've had since I came back here.
The rain seems to have joined us in the last week, right? And Wales is renowned for that weather. So actually to come from Wales and it be sunny.
Yes, it was a surprise indeed. I couldn't believe that we'd had a sunny holiday in Wales. Very disappointed in a way. I mean, I was promised rain, but hey, I got it when I came back to London.
And the final other question would be, I see your background to your camera here. This is obviously a nice background, which I'm sure took a bit of thought. I turned my desk around at the start of September. I think I shared with you that I was facing the window the other way, and I thought I need a fresh look on things. So I've turned my desk 180 degrees, so I've got a window behind. So that's as far as it went. And when we put the camera on, I realized that you have a good view of my gutters through the window if you look carefully. So yeah, I might have to think that one again. Very good. Don't change it for now. But look, Helene, on behalf of GTC and our customers, I'd just like to say thank you for your time and thank you for all of your very important kind of feedback and comments. and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Sure, same. Thank you.